Good afternoon, everyone. So I think I'm going to ride on the previous speaker and the theme of Gen Z. Quick show of hands. How many Gen Zs do we have in the room? Okay, how many of us are working with Gen Z? So how many and how many of us have children who are Gen Z? So clearly they're all around us, right? And that's what we're here. And we all know that they're different. And we've been spending as researchers and brands, I know we've been spending the last 1-2 years at least trying to decode them. And that's what I think we are here to do. Yeah.
So, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rashmi from Z.
I'm Uttara from Third Eye.
And we are here to take you through a generation that not only defines our workplaces, our homes, but also a culture. Yes, we're talking about the Gen Z.
So picture this. You're looking at LinkedIn at 10 o'clock and you see this Gen Z colleague of yours and they're posting. And if you're by chance connected with them on social media, you'll see them posting memes at 2 a.m., right? Interesting, right?
Yeah. And when was the last time you really saw an 18-year-old who says he wants to be a doctor and open a dance studio, or an influencer with millions of followers but is very lonely at heart? So that's the generation that we're talking about, the generation that defines the paradox that we face today.
Yeah.
Right. Click.
Up and that. Yeah.
Yeah, one more click. Click, click. Numbers.
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah. So 65% of India's population, 30% of India's workforce, 43% of India's consumer spending. They aren't just numbers, that's scale and that's influence. So let me ask you again, so how many of we all work with Gen Z and we interact with them, in our workplaces, in our homes, and like many of you all said, as parents. And how many times have we really caught ourselves say that this is a generation that's so different from us? We were never like this at their age. At Z, we are content creators and we've successfully created content across generations. So we've created content for men, we've created content for women, we've created content for family. But when it came to Gen Z, we realized that this was a different generation. They were ahead of us in every way. So how do you really create content for a generation that not only views it, but critiques it, memes it, remakes it, and also co-creates it? And that's why we realized that we needed to really understand Gen Z better. And our vision for the company was to establish Z as the go-to brand when it comes to Gen Z. And this meant understanding them in every aspect and to drive youth centricity across the organization. And we needed to understand youth not just as audiences or partners in our story, but also as human beings.
So what is Gen Z? And that's what we're saying. Gen Z is actually a generation of ands, right? They're self-critical and self-loving. They're consumerist and also conscious. They're hypersocial and quietly reflective. They're proud of their roots and hungry for global exposure. They stream and scroll. They binge watch and build playlists. Their inner world is actually a spectrum of paradoxes, right? And that's really what makes them very different. So different that if you look at the previous generation, they live their lives with and versus the previous generation where and became a source of conflict. Yeah? Hi, I'm Adit. Sorry, I'm just going to go back.
Yeah, so at Z, our audiences are creative right-brain people, and the best way to really connect with them is through a storytelling format. So what we did is we took all the insights and created it into the form of a very interesting video, which we'll see here maybe for a few seconds given the paucity of time, but it explores a relation between a millennial sister and a Gen Z sister and their diverse point of view on life.
Hi, I'm Aditi, a 30-year-old married millennial who's adaptable and hardworking. Meet my Gen Z sister, Richa. She's 24 years old and thrives on good vibes and hustle. Welcome to a day in the life of Richa and Aditi.
Why is my choti behan looking so sad?
Yaar, don't move to Mumbai, no. हमारे weekly gossip और अदरक चाय के बिना, how will I survive?
Richa, Sid and I are a team. And it...
So I mean, we've established there are a generation of paradoxes, right? And it sort of plays itself out in many aspects, right? They want to hustle, they want to have a slow life, they're also individualistic but deeply communal. They're ambitious, but they're also emotionally generous. There are many, many, many paradoxes. And I think that extends even to the relational selves, right? You look at their relationship with family, they're calling their parents their best friends, but they're also fearing judgment. They talk about many friends and yet talk about deeper friendships with a very, very few. They talk about love as an escape, but also a fantasy. I mean, we're all aware of the Sayyara effect, right? And which is why when you actually look at the way they're living their lives on the edge, yeah? Unapologetically living their lives, but they're also seeking validation. They're going to party till they drop dead, but they're also now following a sober, curious movement. So it really makes you wonder what's really beneath them.
So what we realized is that as broadcasters, we needed to create content very differently for them. So this was a generation that wanted to participate in the narrative progress, but at the same time, they wanted to stand apart. This was a generation that was very modern and wanted to do their own thing, but yet they were very culturally rooted.
And which is why I think the methodology became really important. You couldn't go the traditional route with them, right? You had to mirror this and that's what we really did, even in the research we conducted. It was an inquiry into their real world, but at the same time understanding them digitally. It was observational and articulation. It really became about understanding them in all aspects in that duality. So qualitative deep dive plus quantitative scaling became the way, and therefore it became a methodscape in that sense, right? And which is why a lot of the methodologies that we took forward were reflective of this. We did ethnographies which were day in the life of. We also followed them on their digital lives for about a week or so. We also did friendship triads which brought out how they were in their meanings, in their world, in the people that they really sort of exist with, but we also tried to scale it.
So the impact this study has had on our organization has been immense. I mean, we were not only able to speak to the youth, but we were also able to resonate with them. So let me give you 2 examples of show. The first show is Parinita from our Zee Bangla market. This story talks about a Gen Z rural girl who gets married to a modern youth from the city, and the life revolves around the college life where she continues to study, and we've explored a lot of Gen Z terms like a situationship, duality in life, etc. And I'm very proud to announce that within 2 weeks of its launch, Parinita became the top show among the youth in Bangla. The other show that I want to refer is our top show in Zee TV today, which is Tum Se Tum Tak. Here, the entire character personification of Anu, who's our lead character, was based from our insights. She is both responsible and fun-loving. She is both modern and family-oriented. And I'm yet again very proud to announce that we are the slot leader for the 8:30 p.m. slot. And we have, in fact, performed better than the iconic Tarak Mehta Ka Ulta Chashma as well. So this is, if you can go back and play a little bit. Right. Yeah. So the impact for this not only has been on our linear side of business, but it's also been on the Z5 side of business. So if you look at the latest release or the OC that we've released, Bakaiti, this explores a banter between a Gen Z brother and sister and the way they deal with intergenerational dynamics. We've also launched an app called as the Bullet app, which talks to their dopamine culture, offering 1-minute content. So the entire content is a micro drama that gets over in 1 minute. And the impact of the study has not only been in terms of content, but it's also made Gen Z friendly. So let's look at some of the initiatives we've launched. So we've launched a very unique program called as the Z Writers Room, where we are inviting Gen Z authors from the length and breadth of the company to actually come and participate and create youth narrative and content for us. So if there are any budding writers amongst you, I would really encourage you to also participate with us. The other program that we have, which was an internal program, was Aspire, wherein again we kind of built and worked on the Gen Z leaders within our system so that they can take on larger roles. We also had a whole podcast done by our HR, which spoke about intergenerational dynamics. And here is our HR Spock, where she's actually talking about the policy changes that we've done for Gen Z. So as you can see, the impact of the study was huge on us. So just to end the session, yeah, so what we realized is that Gen Z is really not a challenge to be solved. It's a generation to be understood, to be embraced, and to co-create with. Because eventually what we need to do is to create content not just for their truth or their trends, but we need to create content for their voice. So it's not about the noise, it's about the voice. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a couple of questions from the audience. The first question is, how are Gen Z redefining concepts like success and happiness compared to the older generations?
So for them, success actually becomes very interestingly different, right? And when we did the research, we saw that come alive very interestingly. For millennials, it really became about a very set template. So getting a good education, getting a secure job was really what the template of success was for them, right? Going up the ladder in my job or setting up my business from scratch. But for Gen Z, what we realized, I think the one big difference was the fact that for them, success was not tied to education or career in that sense. Money became a very big factor that sort of drove them. And even within education and career, the spin was, education was a lot about self-learning. And career also became about, I'm going to learn a lot from many places and then try to do my own. I mean, we all are aware of the entrepreneurial zeal that they carry. And that really makes them very different from millennials.
So we heard multiple cases of engineers who wanted to be gamers and doctors who wanted to open dance studios. So as they say, you know, Generation Z is many me's, where they want to do everything together.
Thank you. So we have one more question which is slightly longer because there is a context to it. So I'll read it out for you. How do we channelize and tap into their energies, Gen Z's energies? Because it's driven by reactions majorly such as social media. Their behavior patterns are constantly moving as live as the YouTube click, views and Insta reactions from a post to a story to an influencer value proposition. So how do you think research will be able to constantly track these ever-changing reactions based revenue channels and challenges of researching Gen Z?
So I think with Gen Z, I mean, in that sense, it does become tricky, right? But I think what we need to remember is social media does play a very big role, and we can't deny that for them. But I think the key difference is we also tend to limit them to just that. I mean, they are all about fun, but it's that fine line between it's not about non-serious, right? It's about also going deeper. So I think for them, it really becomes important about going deeper into the tension that's not being articulated, because there's so much about projection. It becomes really important to go deeper into what are they not saying, and really then understanding what they mean in that sense, right?
Yeah, so in fact, we had very interesting learnings over here. So like everybody would think that, you know, it's a new generation, they want to choose a partner of their choice. But what we realized is the trending term among them was assisted marriage, where, you know, you'll get your parents, they have like a long list of 100 things they want from their partners. Parents do the searching for them, and then they arrange it for them. So it's more about arranged marriage to assisted marriage. So the duality is what we're referring to.
Thank you so much.
So if you have a minute, I wanted to really play the video, which was a very lovely video. I'm sure the audiences would love to see it on the deck.
Sure, we have time. We can do that.
Should we go back? Piche? How do you go back? So it's a 1-year-long study, and I think both our teams have worked very hard. So we really want to show you some key insights. Play.
Yeah.
मेरे सपने वो अब मेरी राहें I just wanna live like I do लिखे हैं ये नए फसाने मेरा नया जहां सारे जो मेरे इरादे पूरे हों मैं वहां Every day I'm so new I'm feeling so true I'm free to renew and I'm feeling so true ये लम्हे you see me now you see me new देखे मैंने
Thank you so much.
Thank you.